Hey, g'day guys, this is AussieStig. Today we'll be checking out the Simtrecs Pro Pedal GTs. So grab a cuppa and enjoy the review. Alright, the first thing we see when we open the box is a really complete and thorough instruction manual. Actually, you don't see many manuals these days. Tucked away underneath the instruction manual is everything you need to install the pedals. Moving on to the pedal section, we see the brake, clutch and throttle pedals, and to the right of the throttle pedal we can see some elastomer inserts for the brake pedal. There's an extra spring for the clutch, and on the outer edge we see a row of bolts. You can use these bolts to mount the pedals to a profile rig with the aid of T-nuts. If you don't have a profile rig, you can also mount the pedals to a standard pedal deck using the nuts and washers that Simtrecs also supplies. And this is where it gets interesting, guys. All of the main aluminium components are CNC machined from solid billet aluminium stock. And the brake pedal houses a 200 kilogram high capacity load cell. On the right side of the throttle pedal we find a dial which allows you to adjust the brake power on the fly, and V-shaped potentiometers on the clutch and throttle pedals. The USB to PC connection is 16-bit resolution, and all three pedals are fitted with hydraulic damping. Simtrecs has their own smart drive software. We'll look at that a little bit more closely later on in the review. So let's go ahead and check out the throttle pedal first. Picking it up and bringing it a bit closer to the camera, you can see the amazing attention to detail Simtrecs has put into all their machining. Spinning it around, looking at the underside, everything's crisp, clean. There's no machine marks anywhere, it's just all beveled edges and really smooth aluminium. Looking at the back of the throttle pedal, you can see a sticker that says USB clutch and brake, and the ECU board is actually built into the casing itself. On the right hand side of the pedal you can see the brake power dial, which allows you to adjust the brake power on the fly in any tidal. On the fronts of the clutch and throttle pedal arms there's a recessed lock nut and grub screw, and this allows the pedal arm to be adjusted for throw. We'll look at that in more detail a little bit later on in the review. Looking at the top of the pedal you can see the throttle arm damper with a preload dial towards the end of the pedal. Just below that you can see the V-shaped potentiometer activation, so it's a pure mechanical connection to the potentiometer. Going towards the rear foot, pedal angle adjustment is achieved by a series of holes with about a 3.5 degree gradation per setting, so you can put a positive or negative lean on the pedal face itself. Speaking of the pedal face, the entire pedal arm and face is machined out of one piece of solid aluminium billet. Having a closer look at the pedal, it really is a beautiful piece of engineering. There's not one rough edge on it, it's perfectly machined, and looking at it from front on you can't even tell that there's an arm behind it. Finally, this pedal is the lightest of the three. Nonetheless, it feels very solidly built. Okay guys, next up, the most important one, the brake pedal. And spinning the pedal around to the front, we can see straight away that the pedal face itself has a tapered off edge on both sides, and when you look at it in profile you can see there's also a curve to the front of the pedal. The pedal face is adjustable vertically and is a departure from the throttle pedal, which is not adjustable and completely flat. If we bring the pedal a little bit closer to the camera, you can definitely tell this is the bulkiest of the three pedals, and for good reason. The 200 kilo load cell that's housed within the outer casing does take up a lot of space. The connecting rod that connects the pedal arm to the load cell mechanism is actuated by roller bearings, which is a unique approach. Pressing the brake pedal engages the rollers at the rear of the assembly, and then that in turn registers on the load cell. And just spinning it around you can see this pedal means business from any angle. The brake pedal is also fitted with an adjustable damper, and that gives you the option to create a soft or hard pedal feel. And apart from the adjustable damper and preload springs, you also have the same pedal angle adjustment as the other two pedals. Alright, so that was a look at the brake pedal. Lastly but definitely not least, let's check out the clutch pedal. Instantly you can see this is a clutch pedal like no other. Simtrecs has opted for a solid connection from the pedal arm to the clutch mechanism at the rear of the pedal, and again this is outfitted with a Vishnay potentiometer and a damper. And what makes this mechanism so unusual is it reminds me of a car engine. It has like a valve rocker as its mechanism. The actual return spring is underneath the pedal instead of in view. Really a unique approach and something I haven't seen before in sim racing. The clutch return spring's fitted with a preload dial, and you can dial in more clutch pressure if you feel it's not enough. Otherwise you can swap out the springs and use the stronger extra spring that was included in the packaging. Just like the throttle pedal, the clutch pedal also has a pedal throw adjustment on the front of the arm itself. Spinning the clutch around to the front, the pedal face is slightly narrower than the brake pedal face, but has the same adjustments and the same tapering towards the outer edges with a curved front as well. Okay, so that was a look at the three pedals, guys. And now we'll move on to assembling the optional pedal plate. You can mount your Pro Pedal GTs to almost any standard rig, either profile or a static rig with a separate pedal deck. But for people that would like a different option, Simtrecs does produce a Pro Pedal base plate. Now their standard version doesn't fit the playseat, so they were kind enough to produce a customised one for me. Assembly of the base plate is pretty straightforward. It's just a simple matter of bolting everything together in the correct sequence of steps. Pro tip: it's best to assemble the base plate on a flat surface, that way you don't end up with a twisted mess. Let's get stuck into the install. The Playseat Sensation Pro does have pre-drilled holes in its own pedal deck, which do line up with the Simtrecs pedals. Using the supplied bolts, you can simply add them to the slots and secure all the pedals this way, but that does have some limitations with lateral adjustment. So let's bring in the pedal deck. Once we add the deck to the equation, we increase the lateral adjustment for all three pedals. On the underside of the deck, I inserted some T-nuts to line up with the playseat slots, and that way I can securely fasten the base to the playseat. And now on to the fun part, bolting the pedals to the Pro Pedal deck, and the end result's pretty awesome. Now we have the pedals securely mounted to the playseat, let's check out the adjustment options the Simtrecs offer. The first adjustment I made was the pedal arm angle of all three pedals. After loosening the front retaining bolts, we can remove the rear retaining bolts and then raise or lower the entire assembly, which gives us either a positive or a negative pedal arm angle. The uppermost setting is plus 7.5 degrees and the lowest setting is minus 15 degrees. Quite a good deal of adjustment in pedal arm angle via these holes. The front and rear retaining bolts have separate threads, which makes it super easy to remove them. Hooking up the pedals is pretty easy. Mini jack connections are used to connect the brake and clutch pedal to the ECU. The USB out to PC has the same mini jack connection as well. Adjusting the throttle and clutch travel couldn't be easier. All you have to do is undo the lock nut, leave the socket on the nut, and then insert an Allen key into the grub screw. Then it's just a matter of turning it counterclockwise or clockwise to the desired travel. Once that's done, just tighten the nut back up again and you're set. After a little bit of tweaking, I had the pedal set up just the way I wanted. On the throttle pedal, I have the damper arm at its highest setting to give maximum resistance, and I have the preload dial turned up as much as I dare. Now the elastomers in the brake pedal are left as they were out of the box, and I have to say I'm quite happy with the feel. It does have that hydraulic pedal feel to it. And looking at the Simtrecs instruction manual, highlighted in red is the elastomer setup that I'm using, but Simtrecs does have 19 other suggestions for you. I'm sure there's something there to fit everyone's taste. Looking at the clutch pedal, it does have a really unique action. Looking at it a bit closer up, you can see the pedal reaching a bite point. And for my setup, I'm using the white return spring with a good deal of preload added to it. Simtrecs provides their own smart drive software. You can download that from their website once you receive your pedals. What you have to do first is zero out the pedals one by one, then push the top button that says set pedal to rest position and then hit the button. Once you've done that, you press the pedal all the way to its maximum travel, so 100%, and then repeat the process on the lower button. After you've done all three of those, you have a linear adjustment to all three pedals, and then you hit the save setting to pedals button. At this point you can start driving straight away with the pedals. If you want to adjust the dead zones, you can do this in this window. The software does allow for different curves, so you can adjust the pedals via the software to give you a non-linear setting for your pedals if that's what you prefer. Overall, pretty easy to set up and use, and that was a look at the Simtrecs Smart Drive software. Hey, look at that, we made it guys, we're at the drive section. So anyone that knows AussieStig knows that I love the Nordschleifer and the awesome 787B. So let's hop in the car and go for a bit of a tour around Nords and check out the heel and toe driving and see how the Simtrecs Pro Pedal GTs handle that. Because I took the time to set up the pedals exactly the way I wanted them, that makes them extremely comfortable to use in the cockpit. Heel and toe driving with these pedals is absolutely fantastic, and the engineering job Simtrecs has done on the Pro Pedal GTs just makes them a real pleasure to drive with. The pedals are really solidly built and they can easily handle some real heavy heel and toe driving. Using the optional pedal plate does make a difference as well. It supports my feet properly and puts the pedals at the right height in relation to my foot size. The brake pedal gives excellent feedback in just about every situation, and with the Gen 3 D-Box motion system throwing us around, I set up the dead zone on the brake pedal to compensate a little bit for the motion, which you can also dial in on the Smart Drive software, but I prefer to do it in-game per car. Yeah, it gives you a little bit more flexibility. Another handy feature the Pro Pedal GTs has is a on-the-fly brake power adjustment dial, which is located on the right side of the throttle pedal. This gives you the ability to adjust the brake power to suit the car, which in turn helps you avoid lockups. We'll keep the AC theme going and hop into the RSS F3 Assetto Corsa mod, which is a fantastic open wheeler, one of my favourite cars in AC. Let's hop in the cockpit and do some left foot braking. Now the F3 is a little bit twitchy on the throttle, but with the Simtrecs you can modulate your inputs precisely. And same goes for when you're left foot braking. The brake pedal has great feel. Having such a good brake pedal under your left foot gives you a lot of confidence while driving fast open wheelers like this. Yeah, and the combination of elastomers that are on the brake pedal, I'm very happy with the amount of feedback I get. The standard combo out of the box is pretty well spot on. Simtrecs really did their homework there, and couldn't be happier with how the pedal reacts. With the 16-bit resolution on the Vishay potentiometers, there's no perceivable lag when you're using the throttle. I find it extremely responsive. Definitely a great pedal to use. You do see these type of pedals around quite a bit, but I'd have to say Simtrecs has taken it to the next level, especially with how they've been engineered and how they look and feel, and they feel really professional. The Pro Pedal GTs perform pretty well under just about any type of sim racing conditions. You probably noticed that the throttle pedal travel is quite short. That's the way I like to drive. I like to have more control with a shorter throw on the pedal, and because you can also adjust the angle of the pedal, it makes for an extremely comfortable driving position in just about any type of rig. In game I adjusted the dead zone for the brake pedal to allow for resting my foot lightly on the pedal. So even when I apply some pressure to the brake, the preload in the dead zone stops the brake from activating until I put some real pressure on it. Had a good bit of fun driving around Silverstone with the RSS F3 mod for Assetto Corsa. Shortly we'll be hopping into the Riley Daytona Proto in iRacing, and we'll be doing a quick lap of the Donington GP circuit. Here we are in the Riley Daytona Proto at Donington. This time we're going to do some old school heel and toe driving with the sequential shifter. If you didn't already know, heel and toe is my favourite way to sim race. The Riley's got a big lump of a V8 in the back, and when you downshift using heel and toe and the sequential, the shifts are a little bit slower than they would be in a H pattern box. And again, the Simtrecs really shine here. They are perfectly set up for heel and toe. With the tapered edges on the pedal faces, it does help with your foot rolling off the brake pedal and then being able to easily reach the throttle pedal with your heel. I like the Riley. It's a fairly underrated car in iRacing, but it does have a really good balance to it. Driving this car around Donington, I was having trouble with lockups. I found the brake power adjustment dial that's on the throttle pedal very handy, which also helped me improve my lap times. We're coming to the end of this lap of Donington, and next up we're going to head over to Zandvoort. We're going to jump into the mighty Lotus 79 and do a little bit more heel and toe driving in iRacing. We'll do a lap of the old school circuit, and after that I'll come back with my final thoughts on the Simtrecs Pro Pedal GTs. Hope you all enjoyed that flying lap of the old school Zandvoort GP circuit in the mighty Lotus 79. That car sounds absolutely awesome. And now we'll head off into our final thoughts section, and I'll let you know what I think of these Simtrecs Pro Pedal GTs. So I've had a good month and a half of driving with these Pro Pedal GTs, and they haven't missed a beat in all that time. They're not only some of the nicest looking pedals I've had in the AussieStig Studios, they're actually some of the best pedals I've reviewed so far. Every facet of these Pro Pedal GTs has been elevated to a new level of what's possible in sim racing. If I had to describe the pedals in 3 words, it would be attention to detail. The first thing that struck me when I unboxed the Pro Pedal GTs was the similarity to an F1 engine, and that's clearly evident in this side-by-side. Looking at all 3 pedals in profile, design cue is strong, while each pedal retains a level of individuality in terms of looks. Attention to detail isn't confined to just the pedals. The amount of thought and consideration that's gone into designing the packaging to ensure your pedals are well protected during transit has been taken to another level. Simtrecs has done a great job on the adjustability side. They offer the user plenty of options when it comes to adjusting their pedals. The throttle pedal can be adjusted for pedal angle and pedal stiffness. The brake pedal has about 20 different elastomer options that you can try out. The damper is also adjustable, so you can increase or decrease the stiffness of the pedal. Lastly, the clutch also has an adjustment for pedal travel, and it's fitted with a damper and that unique bite point mechanism. The Smart Drive software also offers the user plenty of options when it comes to non-linear pedal curves, and their instruction manual is concise and it does lay out all the options you have for just about any driving condition. Hopping back in the cockpit, as I said earlier, these pedals haven't missed a beat with any type of driving I've done in the last month and a half, and I can't really fault them at all. They're extremely well designed and built. They're just a pleasure to drive with. They offer great feedback from all three pedals, even if you're only using the clutch to start a race with or do some heel and toe driving. The clutch mechanism does give you that bite point feeling. Although in the heat of a race, the clutch is a pedal that you have to press quickly, and the nuance of the bite point is a little bit lost then, but otherwise all three pedals perform perfectly throughout my review period. Another thing I really like about the Simtrecs Pro Pedal GTs is the fact that they're super clean. When you look at the pedals from any angle, they don't have any wires hanging off them. Everything is just really well considered. Again, I think this style of pedal, which you do see quite often, has been taken to a new level by Simtrecs. They just have that premium look to them. The quality is amazing. The finishes on all the CNC machine parts is just absolutely perfect. There's not one imperfection to be found anywhere. The optional Pro Pedal Plate is a great addition. It does give you more options if you want to mount your pedals to a different type of sim rig. During the whole review process, I really had to look very hard to find something that could be improved upon with these pedals. And the only thing that really stuck out to me was the mini jack cable that goes from the ECU on the throttle to the clutch pedal. The 3 pins that jut out from the potentiometer housing look quite fragile. There might be the possibility of bending or damaging those pins. But other than that, the pedals are absolutely bulletproof. There's not one thing on these pedals that I didn't like. Let's head over to the Simtrecs website and check out the pricing for the Pro Pedal GTs. Simtrecs has 2 prices, one for within the EU and the other is for all countries outside the EU. For those of you that don't know, Simtrecs is a company based out of Budapest in Hungary. If you'd like to learn more about the Pro Pedal GTs and Simtrecs, you can scroll through their website. It's quite detailed and there's a lot of information to be found on the pedals. I had a fantastic time reviewing these pedals. I can't praise them highly enough. They've been absolutely bulletproof and have given me 0 issues during the whole review period. Finally, I would say if you're looking for a set of pedals that perform flawlessly, look absolutely fantastic and scream motorsport, then the Simtrecs Pro Pedal GTs are probably one of the best pedals I've reviewed in the AussieStig Studios. And that's saying a lot because I have tested a lot of pedals and these pedals actually stood up to anything that was thrown at them. I really do hope you enjoyed this video and please stay tuned for more to come from AussieStig.